if you're positive, that means that you have this additional Rh or D antigen. So let's say our person number 1 here, let's add that we know they're AB positive. So what the AB positive means is we have additional antigen on the surface of the red blood cell. We'll draw it with a circle. And now this is my Rh, or also called D antigen. So that's the additional positive. If you're negative, you do not have the Rh or D antigen. Okay. So if I'm positive, I have the Rh antigen. Does this mean I ever want to fight Rh?
No.
No, because that's myself, right? So again, no other antibodies in here. So if I'm AB positive, I have all the different types of antigens possible. I'm going to have no antibodies in my blood plasma, so I'm not going to fight anyone.
But if you're negative, you have the RHD.
Yeah, so let's talk about if you're negative. So let's do the same thing. Let's say I'm AB negative. So that means on my blood surface, right, I still have my A antigen. I still have my B antigen. But that's it, right? The negative means I don't have these additional R's.
Does the negative only come into play when it's AB, or does there A negative?
Good question. Does the negative only come into play if you're AB? What do you guys think?
No.
No, any blood type. So positive and negative comes into play whether you're A, B, AB, or O. So in reality, all the different blood types are A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, AB positive, AB negative, O positive, O negative. Right? Okay, so if I do not have the Rh antigen, will I fight Rh?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, remember you always fight whoever you're not. So it's like if I'm not A, I'm gonna fight A, so I'll have anti-A. So if I'm not Rh, I'm gonna fight Rh in my blood plasma, my RBC. Now, because I'm not Rh, I'm going to fight Rh. So I'm going to have anti-Rh antibodies. In other words, antibodies against Rh. In other words, I'm not going to accept or like positive blood, right? Because if positive blood comes in, that has Rh, and I'm fighting Rh. Right? Questions on that? Yeah, Bethlehem.
Can you repeat one more time?
Okay, so remember, I fight everything I'm not. Right? I'm A, so I'm not going to fight A. I'm B, so I'm not going to fight B. But I do not have Rh. Because I'm not Rh, I will fight Rh. Remember, our fighters are antibodies. So I'm going to have antibodies against Rh. So anti-Rh. Remember, Rh means positive blood. So if I'm fighting Rh, I'm fighting positive blood. So I cannot receive positive blood. Okay, more questions? Okay, here's one little caveat. If I'm born with negative blood, I don't naturally have these anti-Rh antibodies. I actually have to learn to develop them. And here's how I develop these. If I'm exposed to positive blood, whether it's a transfusion, whether it's a pregnancy of a baby who's positive, I have to be exposed to positive blood first, and my body thinks, oh, that's what an Rh antigen looks like. That's what positive blood looks like. then my body will start to develop these antibodies. So it's only upon the second exposure will I have these antibodies ready to go and fight. So what that essentially means is I get one free pass, right? If I'm negative, the first time I get a positive blood donation or the first time I have a positive baby, not a problem because I don't have the antibodies yet. But once my body says, oh, that's what positive looks like, I develop the antibodies. So my second time I'm exposed to positive blood or a positive baby, that's when we're gonna have problems because I now have the antibodies to fight the positive blood.
Do they then purposefully expose like babies? Like if once they know like, oh, this baby's negative, let's expose it to RH?
Oh, that's a good question.
So it just
Yeah.
learns it, right?
Yeah, so then if they know you're negative, like the baby's negative, do they purposely try to expose it to a positive so that way that baby will develop the positive?
Because it's not gonna get sick the first time, right?
Right, it won't get sick the first
Right.
time. But no, they don't actually purposefully try to expose the baby to positive blood because they'll let the baby naturally be exposed the first time.
Okay.
And then they'll know, if you have a transfusion, for example, they'll know. But even if they don't know, they can always just draw the blood and double check to see if you have those antibodies there. Usually it's not a problem because usually they don't try to give you positive blood if you're negative anyways. Where this really does become a problem though is actually during pregnancy, right? You can't choose what the blood type is of your baby. So for a mom who is naturally negative, so she's negative, right? And the baby's positive. So again, the first time the mother has a positive baby is not a problem if she's never been exposed to positive. But after the first exposure to the positive blood, the mom will develop those antibodies. So it becomes a problem when she's pregnant again and her second baby is positive. Because now she's trying to fight the positive. What do we do?
Suppress immune.
Is it that the mom just can't have the second baby? Mom can still have the second baby. It's fine to have the second baby. But here's what happens. The mom actually gets a shot. The shot is called Rogaine. What the shot does is it suppresses the mom's antibodies against RH. So while she's carrying the baby, she doesn't have the antibodies, so she won't attack the positive blood of the second baby. Now they have to know, right? They have to know that the mom is negative and has the antibodies. That's why one of the things they do during pregnancy is they take a blood draw, they test, do you have those antibodies against positive? Right? If you do, they give the Rogaine shot, the mom's antibodies are temporarily suppressed. She can carry the baby to full term fine, deliver the baby, and then eventually the mom's antibodies will come back. But that shot suppresses it in the meantime. Then it's safe.
In the olden days when there was no shot, what happened?
Yep. So in the olden days, and it's funny because my mom asked me, they're like, oh, did they not do a blood type for you and your husband? I'm like, no, they don't do that anymore. In the old days, they actually would take people's blood types before they got married.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, because they would see, would there be a possibility if the mom was negative and if the dad's positive, if the mom carries a positive baby, right? Then there's a problem. They didn't have a shot to fix that. So they actually required, my mom told me, yeah, they did blood typing before they got married.
And then, so would people, I mean, like people just wouldn't get married if they,
Right, then you got to decide, right? If your blood types aren't compatible in this sense, right, then you know there's that risk. Because the problem is if you do have that second kid and you're going to fight their kid's blood, the problem is you might run into, this problem called erythroblastosis fetalis. That's when the mom's negative has the antibodies that fight the positive, and then the baby's positive. The problem is the mom then starts to kill off the maternal the fetus red blood cells, right? The mom basically attacks the baby's red blood cells. So the baby ends up with anemia, right? Lack of red blood cells, and then that becomes obviously dangerous for the baby. Not that the baby can't survive, but this would more likely lead to like miscarriage. Yeah.
so that means, I mean, how did we get to this, how did the species get to this point? They must have been self-selecting.
Yeah, so how did the
evolutionarily.
species get to
Yeah.
this point, right? They're like,
Right.
oh my goodness. So self-selection,
Right.
turns out the majority of us are positive. Negative is pretty rare.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And when we do our testing today, we'll actually take a poll and see. Yeah, positive is more common. If you're positive, it's not a problem at all because if you're positive, you never have the antibody.
And if the mother is positive and the baby's negative, are there any bad consequences?
Good question. If the mom is positive and the baby's negative, are there any issues? Think, if you're positive, do you ever have any antibodies that bite?
No.
No, so it's not a problem.
Right.
Yeah, so the only issue is if you're negative and the baby's positive. Yeah, that's all.
What's the time you said the treatment, like, because you pregnant or having a baby, because we know that the woman, the mother is
Say that a little louder again.
if mother is negative, what's the time period?
Oh, good question. So Bethlehem says if the mother is negative, the baby's positive. What's the time period in which you have to give that RhoGAM shot, right? You don't want to wait too late. Usually it's within the first trimester, within the first couple of months. So right when the mom finds out she's pregnant, they do that first round of blood testing. That's when they would do it. Yeah.
Is there any chance to give her, like, prior to her pregnancy?
Prior to her pregnancy? You can do it prior to the pregnancy. That's not really common though, because the baby's not going to start developing like its own red blood cells and whatnot until like a couple months in, right? So you don't necessarily need the shot prior to the pregnancy. Great question. Yeah, that's why again, once you find out you're pregnant, you go in. One of the first things they do is blood draw. They check for that.
Okay, so what's the percentage? It's very real, right? Like this mother, baby, mother is negative. You know, this kind of is very rare, right? So nobody have blood test to marry somebody, but the baby is wrong. That means
Say that the second part again.
this issue is very rare. Like RH negative, RH positive, right?
Yeah, the negative is more rare than the positive.
Yeah, the not happens that much.
Right, so it's not as common as you would expect, right?
Yeah, so nobody have blood test to marry somebody, right? Rather than somebody have married, they have a child.
Right, so again, majority of the time it's not a problem,
Not
right? But again, if it were to be a problem, nowadays we can fix it. Yeah.
So if the baby is negative and the mom is positive, does that count as the baby's first time being exposed to positive?
Great question. If the baby is negative and the mom is positive, does that count as the baby's first time as being exposed? Yes. Yep. Already exposed to positive, so the baby would come out having the antibodies. Okay, so with that in mind, we now understand the full blood typing, A, B, and O, positive and negative. So now we are ready to test your blood. All right, so let me show you the logistics of how this is going to work. Okay. First things first, you don't have to do this, right? If you don't want to prick yourself, that's not a problem. You don't have to actually do your blood type, but everyone can if they want to. Keep in mind, if you do want to go in the health profession in the nursing field, you probably should be able to do this, right? That's just, just a heads up, FYI. Okay, so everyone who wants to participate is going to grab one of these plastic things. It has 3 wells in it, or 3 little dips, labeled A, labeled B, and labeled RH. So you're going to test your blood to see if you have A antigens, B antigens, and RH antigens, right? Okay, so how we're going to do this, we're going to put a drop of blood in each well. How we get our drop of blood out is, if you guys remember from osmosis lab, for those of you guys who participated, we got the little fancy prickers, right? Remember, you just take off the cap, you press down all the way, a little needle comes out, pokes you, and then the needle automatically retracts. Each one only gets 1 poke, all right? So it's very sanitary. After you poke yourself, put this into the sharps container because it does have a needle in it. You get a little poke on your finger. Hopefully some blood will start coming out. Put 1 drop of blood in each of the wells. You don't need a lot of blood, enough to see. Now, once you put your drop of blood in each well, here's what you're going to put in addition. We have these serums, 3 serum types. One's called anti-A. In other words, anti-A fights A antigens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a drop of anti-A in my A well. If anti-A is successful at finding A antigen, it'll clump your blood up. So it means, yes, I found an A antigen. Yes, I have A blood. So in other words, if you see clumping, that means, yes, you have that antigen. That is your blood type. Right? So match it up, A to A. Anti-B to B. And anti-RH to RH. All right? So again, if you see the clumping, you successfully found that antigen, you have that blood type. All right? So for example, let me turn down the light so you guys can see. In this example, which one of these three do you think you see clumps?
B.
Yeah, B. Again, these little specks. It could be little clumps, it could be one big clump, but you'll see clumping. If it's nice and smooth and uniform, that's no clumping. So this person only has the clumps in B. So what type of blood does this person have?
B negative.
B negative, right? Has B antigen, no A antigen, no RH. So this person, oh, sorry, I put B positive. B negative.
No.
Okay. Right, that's a B negative. Okay, here's another example. This is my A, this is my B, and this is an RH. Which ones do you see clumps in?
All of them.
A, RH is the same as D. B, this is actually, if you look at it and kind of, you'll use a toothpick to kind of swirl it around, so that'll kind of be your tag. When you swirl it around, here, notice it's just all kind of uniform color. This would not be a clump.
Okay.
You would notice again like a little blob here or here if it was a clump. So this one is no clumping. So what type of blood is this person? A positive. Right? Okay. Look at this person. This is A and this is B. Clumping?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is an AB person.
Maybe positive.
I'm not showing you the RH, so we don't know if they're positive or
Okay.
negative. If you're O, what do you expect?
No clumping.
No clumping in A or B. Right? Okay, so that's the gist of it. So pretty straightforward. So again, the strategy is prick your finger, 1 drop of blood in each well, and note the clumping. Whatever clumps, you have that blood type. So to help you guys understand your blood type, I've got this little worksheet. Everyone's gonna fill out one. If you don't actually prick your finger, you can just make up a blood type, or if you know your blood type, put it down, and then just follow through the guidelines. They're gonna ask you which one's clump, what is your blood type, draw on your red blood cell your antigens. We're gonna use the same key that we used up here. Then circle the antibodies you have in your blood plasma based on your antigen. Then find out whose blood you're gonna fight. Based off of that, you know whose blood you can receive. And then at the bottom, you're gonna try and write a 2 to 3 sentence summary, walking yourself through from what blood type you have all the way to who you can receive. Right, so everyone's gonna do this. You can work together on it, but every student's gonna turn in their own. What I'm gonna have you guys do is staple your groups together, and then I'll just randomly select one and grade it. Right, but you can work together on this, but just make sure everyone has what it is for their individual blood type.